You're going live? All right, it is indeed a very, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's another Wednesday, the 4th of March, 2026. Wednesday, the 4th of March, 2026. And this is a tackle. Okay? Usually we're coming to now. We'll be doing one show a week like we agreed. But then progressively, we'll be able to come to you more regularly. But for now, we'll be doing every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Thank you for joining us. And as usual, when you join in, please like. When you like, we get to know that you're watching us. And when you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. Tonight, we are going to have a very interesting conversation. And it is involving what is going on in the world. And I'm sure in everyone's mind right now, everyone is asking what the hell is going on. And so we'll be having experts who will make us understand what actually the hell is going on and when exactly we're going to get out of this, if at all we are going to. So we're going to have a PhD, Minde. This is from USIU. He's an international relations expert, and there's a conflict expert. We're having as well Will. Will, good to see you. He's also an advisor to CS, Foreign Affairs. And he's also an international relations expert as well. And he will be helping us on what exactly is going on and understanding professionally. Because in Kenya, everyone is an expert. So the other day, kuna mtu amesema nimesikia kitu kipita sema ni missile inakuja. And we also be having Ojwang is on his way. He'll be here shortly. And we hope you're not going to receive any missiles soon. But you are safe because some countries have said, guys, you're not our target. So chill, calm down. Either they are saying we are too small or they are saying you are very good boys. Before that, we had a very unfortunate incident at the end of last week. And we lost a member of parliament and 5 members of his staff in an helicopter accident. And today they were having a requiem mass at AGZ Karen. And it is a loss to the nation. Many have said that the president has actually lost the future. And you remember him as a leader who really fought for his people, spoke his truth, and was always there for the country. So we'll take a minute just to give a message of condolence, and then we'll get back. I'll start with you, Will.
Thank you very much. I align with your statement. I think it was unfortunate, but that is the puzzle of life, that we lost a very dynamic, vibrant, and as I say, very powerful defender of his own people and Kenyans, the late member of parliament for Muliro, Dikir, and the other members. So my condolences, Bitok, on behalf of my family and my friends, and me as a Kenyan. Condolences.
Minde.
Sure, I join my colleague Muliro to send my condolences to this very vibrant member of parliament who stood for the rights of his people and, of course, very patriotic in the sense of pushing for what the rights of his people. So I join my fellow colleagues and, of course, Kenyans at large to send my deepest condolences to not just the MP, but also his constituency, but also the other members who are in the ill-fated helicopter crash. So we hereby, of course, send our deepest condolences to them and their families.
Okay, thank you. Ojwang.
Good afternoon. Good evening. Yes, I want to...
is everything okay at home?
Everything is not okay. We have lost our friend, Mr. Ngeno. Yeah. You know, we were with him several in this show.
Yeah.
And part of the work we did with him is protecting the victims of Mau eviction.
Yes.
Where he even called us, sent us up to the Africa Commission for Human Rights in Gambia. And I remember it was the two of them, Korir Singwe and him. So I've been with him in Homa Bay in a few tours. It's a sad loss, and I think I saw the memorial. It has captured the spirit of the departed. And what else can we say? We are mortal, and we wish the family to go on with courage. Of course, it will not be easy. And the country, as Muliro has said, and Doc here, that rarely do you find selfless leaders. For example, who confronted Uhuru on the issue of eviction of Mau, saying that why is it so selective? You are evicting the poor from Mau, yet we have families that have tea and are farming Mau, and they are not touched. So that truth is a rare commodity in this country. It's only in academia where we speak truth. We research. When we find results, we say it without fear. But even in churches, it has become nascent these days. So my condolences.
All right. Thank you. And I think there are things that he stood for, and he stood for them so strongly. I think even as he lives, it's a challenge to many Kenyan leaders that can you afford to stand for what you believe in? Because he stood for it at all cost, and he never wavered even for a minute. Is there something you remember about him specifically, Wilfred?
For me, I think talk here, Duncan has just reminded me, it was during the other regime that we always saw him, in the thick of very difficult environment, confronting police in the middle of, arrows passing on his head. We see smoke, people running, and he's there with these people. That's how we remember him, for us who are not in his constituency. A very bold person who consistently, became a candidate of the police jails.
Yeah. The candidate of Matembea.
Yes.
Matembea was the PC at that time.
Was the commission.
And so I remember him for that. Yes.
All right.
So maybe the question is to the leaders, even to Muliro and Doc here, do we have spine? Because the greatest want of the world is for people with spine. Indeed, he had spine.
Yes.
And he called evil by its name.
Yes.
Not by another.
Yes.
But Minde, do you have any memories of him?
Well, of course, professionally, I think I learned that he had been admitted to the bar as an advocate of the High Court, and reading through his biography, he came from very humble beginnings. Faced many evictions. His father was, a farmer, so he rose through the ranks and became what he is. And this is the selflessness and resilience that we aspire to as upcoming leaders, and this resolve that is espoused by such people. So it's quite a loss for his community, his constituency, and Kenya at large. I think these are the type of leaders that we really hope to have in the future, and people who stand for what they believe in, and to challenge things that have been seen as customary, of course, and status quo, which is quite it's quite an appealing character for any person who aspires for leadership. So it's quite a loss for Kenya.
Okay. And maybe just in a minute, because this is a person, and I know most of our conversations tonight even is going to feature around human rights and the place of people in the society. And he fought for the rights of his community to own land and to belong to Kenya. And for many years, this has not even changed much. The people in Mau are still in Mau. We're still having squatters. We're still having evictions. Do we foresee a closer way out, Dr. Ojwang? Do you think this is, we're going to, someone even as he goes, what is the word for him? Because the war is still there. The struggle is still there.
The one author says, though the builders go, the building must go on. I still remember I was part of the Talai land in Kericho. Where they were evicted, taken to Luoland, and dispossessed. And of course, I remember the debate we had here when the British came to Kenya. Then I was part of the case in Kedong, where 76,000 acres of the Maasai taken. And we seem to play with the issue of land. And we had a very important show here where Muliro, the legends are saying that there's a time Nyerere came to Kenya, and Jomo Kenyatta took him around his vast empire of land. And in a typical Nyerere way, he said, iwapo haya ni mashamba yako Jomo, wa Kenya wanaishi wapi? We have not have courage to put maximum acreage. We have put minimum will be easy, but maximum. We cannot talk of development when big tract of land are not used, are owned. You know, yes, there is the issue of title, but there is the issue of entitlement, where, you know, title must follow entitlement. If I find Muliro with this studio tomorrow and he has a title, I will still say, is he entitled to it?
Entitled to the title?
And so the ideal is for title and entitlement to go together. But what we have is a lot of title without entitlement. And entitlement comes because how do people get to own land? Of course, buying become whatever, but the traditional idea of ancestral land. And you see, land is not a commodity. It cannot be commodified. For some of us who are even Christians, heaven is about land. The land of paradise. So land is so sacred because, you know, it's the only resource that do not increase. Yeah, or everything else increase, and you cannot talk of development if you are dispossessed of land. Look at South Africa. They have done a 180-degree turn. They have done all the revolution, but right now they are back to the issue of land because even Mandela did not solve it. Others have too much of it. When the Boers talk of, you know, we want freedom, that means leave our land alone. But the Bantus there are saying, you know what? We must question how you got to own what you got to own and the title without entitlement. So the issue of land, Ndungu Land Report, is in Kenya, isn't it? We have all these other land reports. And so the issue of land has remained a thorn in the flesh. You go to, during Matiang'i time, it was very common for the Maasai to be beaten in Laikipia. Do you remember? When they were trying to access water. Because somebody owns the land, actually dispossess people around there, put one wild animal, and now call it an animal orphanage and conservancy, and they have registered it even with the UN, and now it is, I'm protecting this elephant. So, and the question of why will you come to Europe, if we are to give you a list of our crime, why will you pick protecting our elephant to be the most urgent need? And Dr. Gad have written about it. So you find a big part of land, somebody owned the river there, and the Maasai could not access. So the issue of land and the injustice, and if you talk of right to food, which is in Article 43, you cannot talk of right to food without
right to land.
Okay.
When Wilfred,
yes, to add on.
Correct. Yeah.
It was very interesting to. I think I read or listened to the media referring to him as the title deed of Emurua Dikir.
Yeah.
What you're saying, he was actually the stabilizer. With him, he was like the title deed.
Yes,
so now that he's gone, what he's saying may happen.
And are we about
the land now they will be even displaced because he was the anchor. You look at him and you say he's the title deed. So we have we have the, you call it what, the premise or something, the status to hold on this land because the MP is there. So you are right. And just to finalize on what I remember, I've seen that actually he was doing all this as a bachelor.
Yes,
so almost like Jesus, you know, serving humanity as a single man. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Minde.
I'm learning.
You're not a bachelor.
I am.
No, he's a senior citizen. I know he's okay.
He said he is. So are we about to honor him with what he's, I mean, he's taken all his life.
Yeah.
We can actually literally say he has lived all his life fighting for this, especially land. And that is something that it's not like we are all strangers, we are taken from somewhere and then we are put here. We are Kenyans, we are born in Kenya, we've lived in Kenya. Are we about to honor him by what he has chased all these years?
Well, I think
close
that
is
is the question, and the puzzle is always about legacy and how do we honor such great men who have gone before us. Do we have a culture of actually honoring such people? And of course, I think it can start with his constituency and the people that he has always fought for. I think they can really push to honor his legacy in some form of commemoration. There are many ways in which we can commemorate great people. I think the Ministry of Culture and all that has a whole set
I think they care more about the Ministry of Land than his way.
But again, it's
even get
about,
to culture.
of course, there's the controversies around how we honor people. And of course, we understand he was a very divisive figure because maybe the government might not have been very happy with his with what he was fighting for. And but again, I think it is who they will elect to replace him. I think that will also be
continue the chase.
Of course, this is something that is very, very critical. But I'm just learning that you are saying that he was a single man.
For a long time, he was
For a long time, yes.
but he got married recently. So the family is really young. He married at 45, 47 years. So it's not late.
Yeah, I saw the wife. I think she was pretty young.
Take courage.
The family is very young.
For me, there is hope.
I remember talking to him in Homa Bay a lot about whom he wanted to marry, who I knew. So we had very social conversation because we were just somewhere killing time, and so we had all this time to talk. And he gave me the story of his social life. But I think the issue that Wakili is presenting, the doc is representing of who is the hero. You know, we live in a world where the oppressor choose for us our heroes. And say Martin Luther is good, Malcolm X is bad. And so I think that even now in his death, you are seeing the controversy around, was he the friend to the former deputy president who is claiming this is my close ally, I've lost my close ally.
Was the first one to cry.
Was the first one to cry. And so he is a true people's hero. And that is very important. But I also think, finally, in my view, that he was not just a fighter. You know, there's this image of hard-won general, battle-hardened. He was also in the forefront of social.
Correct.
If you Google, most of his clips come out when he's dancing. And he's a good dancer, a great dancer. Something very rare in Rift Valley, may I add. I've not seen Bitok dance, but a very rare quality.
Make me an MP. Make me an MP. I'll start dancing.
So he lived a very decent, full life. And that part of this social nature, connecting with the people, connecting with the musicians, I saw him justifying why it is important to sponsor these musicians. The president saying how he was able to bring them together, take money and give it to musicians.
Correct, yeah.
You know, somebody who has a cause. Because most of us in Kenya, Doc, and like Tanzania, most of us in Kenya are trained to think about ourselves.
Correct.
The amount of selfishness in this country. What about me, myself, and I? So when you see someone who is always reaching out, who is always trying to cover and support others, look at the people he had in the plane. They are not his peers. They are people you can see he's supporting and sustaining, and is able to relate with them. That become a quality that I think people can continue. Yes.
Yeah, that's actually very up. And this is like the musicians said, actually. They have said he is the reason why some of the musicians in Rift Valley actually driving cars, they have land, they're living comfortably, which is a very far off dream for most creators. Because the system does not easily support the creators. So may his soul rest in peace, and also the other families, the other members also perished in that plane, the 5 of them. May their souls rest in peace and their families be comforted. And I hope that anyone who is going to take after him will continue the legacy and also continue to push for the rights of the people of Emurua Dikir. Okay? Just to remind you once again, on my right, we have Wilfred Muliro, who is a foreign policy and conflict specialist, and he also advisor to the Cabinet Secretary of Foreign Affairs. On my left, I have Dr. Nicodemus Minde, who is a faculty member at USIU. He's also an international relations and foreign policy expert. And in the middle, we have Ojwang, who is an international and humanitarian law teacher. Okay? So we are going to go straight to our conversation tonight. And it's about the conflict in the Middle East. And we are asking, among many other questions that we're going to try and answer tonight, are we seeing a collapse of the world order? And what exactly is going on? Wilfred, what is going on?
I think Bitok, maybe it will be a hyperbole to say that collapse of the world. Somebody told me we've had conversations somewhere as Pan-Africanists with Ojwang here. And we even questioned ourselves one time whether it was actually World War, because this was a war in Europe, France, and then when it happens in Europe, it's a world war. Yes. When it happens around here, then it's not. Yes. So actually, I see this, Bitok, in terms of maybe three elements, but one should be the geoeconomics. Okay. That is driving, how states are trying to position themselves in terms of economic interests being put ahead. And then, obviously, what drives that is geopolitics. You have to stand somewhere to get your economic interests. And that brings me to the aspects. This is my opinion. I think that as the leading, the protagonists themselves, that's the US, and under its armpit we have Israel, focusing on the other side there. When you look at those geopolitical calculations, maybe Minde, you'll help us on this, the common denominator must be China. Okay. You look the whole range from Venezuela, and the president has been giving snippets, President Trump, in his conversations. He ends with the idea that China now will have to buy oil from us, Venezuela. And then you look at what you mentioned earlier, Bitok, the Strait of Hormuz. Yes. And you hear all the conversations from the US about that, saying all the oil that is passing there, most of it is China. And you'll see that now the geoeconomics comes in, this war of tariffs, this war of who controls critical minerals, this war of who controls the critical waterways, the logistics.
Logistical channels.
Yes. So some people are becoming, they call it what, fodder, something, cannon fodder or something there. And to do that, you look for the weakest. Because I like what I've read somewhere, in jest, but they are passing the message that Trump is us, or the US is us. Why are you bombing Iran? They say they have nuclear weapons. They say, but Russia has nuclear weapons. They say, are you crazy? We can't bomb them because they have nuclear weapons. So it almost confirms. It almost confirms, Bitok, that it's not the shallow or the position that is being projected that Iran has nuclear weapons. It's something deeper, as they always say in international relations, that there is the position, and when you go beyond that position, under that position, there's the interest. And people don't talk so much about the interest. They tell you the positions. I want to sit here. That's the position. You start struggling for the seat. But maybe the interest is when he sits in the front seat, he controls power. He is more prominent. Or maybe he's not seeing well. He has forgotten his specs. So there is that. The interest is the one that we should be looking at. And in my view, the interest is not the position we are being told about weapons of mass destruction and the rest. And therefore, we are looking at that, Bitok, and we are saying maybe the world will not collapse, but the world will be excited for some time.
What I mean, are you excited? What's going on?
The last few days have been quite something to behold. I remember late January at the World Economic Forum, the Canadian Prime Minister spoke about the rapture. So there's some form of a rapture in the international order. And, post 1945, the world came to have what we call a rule-based order, where there is some form of a semblance of respect for certain norms that the community of nations have agreed upon. For example, the use of force, collective security, amongst other international norms, which are, codified, and we have international institutions, we have international organizations, we have some semblance of order. But now what we are seeing is a complete rupture, and even the concepts that we have grown up knowing, for example, sovereignty now has taken a new meaning. Aggression now has taken up a new meaning. We were speaking about even what constitutes a preemptive attack. So on Saturday morning, we wake up to the news that Israel says it is actually attacking Iran because it is a preemptive attack, or is it a preventive attack? But again, so these are some of the issues that we are seeing, that there's some form of an erosion of these global norms. And when has it started? Of course, it is with this Trump administration. I appreciate that, Muliro, you talk about the greater geopolitical arrangements and China being one of the targets, the denominators. But I also think there is also a geopolitical issue around Israel, which for a long time as I was telling you before the show began, I think this war has been coming for 26 years. Prime Minister Netanyahu has been speaking about that Iran is very close to enrichment of uranium, that they're close to having a bomb. In 2002, he was speaking, I think, in the Congress, he spoke about that. At the United Nations, he spoke about that. So, and of course, look, we are normalizing an abduction of a head of state in Venezuela. And then we are seeing, for example, the killing of a spiritual leader, which, it is 5 years, 10 years ago, this was an absurd thing. And if at all it happened, it was done in very covert ways, not this very blatant call for a regime change, for example. It is now being discussed as if it's it's normal. So for me, those are the salient issues that I'm really perplexed. And I can tell you without a doubt that we are in a critical juncture of global history. Of course, we saw in the killing of Archduke Ferdinand, which brought about the war. We saw 1945, and then we have what we call the fall of the Berlin Wall, I think, was critical. 9/11 was critical. All right. COVID was critical. But I think this is another very critical moment of global history, and it will really shape many years to come. And the phenomenon that is Donald Trump, I think, is quite something that we as historians, as international relations thinkers and students, we really need to really unpack to understand what really is it. What does he really want? Is idiosyncrasy? I think, Muliro, we had that conversation. What does Donald Trump want? For example, look, since Saturday, I think the United States has changed position almost 3 times about the objectives of the Iran war. And I'm very careful to how we label these global events. Is it say Iran war? No. I think it's something that we need to be very careful. We need to be very careful in how we name these things. So sometimes these taglines that we use oftentimes are used to perpetuate these notions and narratives, which sometimes I think is very, very unfortunate, to be honest, Bitok.
That's right.
That's good. No, words are not innocent. Words are not innocent. Trump built this business empire in almost mafia style. New York is mafia. He was able to pull and make money. And so he's a very pragmatic person. He's not an idealist. He's very pragmatic. And so, you know, when you come with all this moral argument, that one you can take to the Pope. Even them, they have nuclear to protect themselves. So he's a very practical guy. You saw him, how he told off the Canadian president. And even Spain yesterday. So he's, you know, you can look at the New York mafia and to be there and do business there. He thinks of interest and a very practical person. But, and so idiosyncrasy in the international relation, it's a matter that derailed. But there is law in war, jus in bellum and jus ad bellum. Now that we are in war, what are the laws that should guide us? But even so, you know, every generation have thought the world order is falling. Cain, in the Bible, killed his only brother. It was a family of 4. So that is already half of this generation.
That was the world.
Imagine you are only 2 brothers and you are only 4 people in the world, you and your mother and your father, and then you kill your only brother. So a quarter of the world population. So every generation think they are worse off. In earnest, Peace of Westphalia. Yeah. That you guys love so much. After and Muliro, we discussed it so many times. After signing the Peace of Westphalia that established international relation, we are going to respect each other's sovereignty. It's when those people left to Berlin Conference and divided Africa. So it wasn't for us. When you talk of First World War, because when I teach IHL, I find this notion that, you know, oh, Muslims are just violent people. I tell them First World War is basically a Christian war. The countries and the actors. Second World War, the same. And the notion that when it happens there, it becomes World War. When it happens here, it's ethnic violence. But in a practical perspective, so whether, and you brought it very well, that whether the threat was imminent. You know, we came, the treaty, the conservative part of the UN Charter say that you must first be attacked. Then there is the new model from the British that also it has been accepted that no, you don't need to be attacked, but you have to prove that the threat is imminent. And so the issue of whether it was imminent, and remember that's where we had the Bush doctrine, because Bush did the exact thing with Iraq. He said in his speech, we will go look for them. You know, when you're looking for someone, it's not so imminent. We will smoke them out. They're even hiding, you're smoking them out. That is not very imminent. The threat is not imminent. We will rather fight them there than here. So Bush doctrine, of course, disturbed international law, as we know it, the use of force, by not being preemptive, but preventive. You know, this idea of prevention is better than cure. The threat is not imminent. And of course, the danger you have laid here very well, that if you lived in a neighborhood where if somebody look at you with bad eye, you say, I'll rather take them out before they do. How many people will you take out? So it will be a very dangerous neighborhood, and it's against the law. But in practical sense, I think that it appears to me that the rest of the world can only talk. Because Russia, now I saw the news, have condemned it. But you'll expect them, being an ally, to do more than just saying, it's a shame what they have done to you. France, they have some powers. All they have done is say, this is unacceptable. This is against international law, and left it as such. China have said, we don't like this, and left it at that. They did the same to Syria. You know, Syria was their ally. It was attacked, it was beaten, and all they could do is say the status of international law and leave it as such. And I think the US knows very well that these allies that Iran had
cannot do much.
Cannot do much, because now Iran are on their own. Up to now, I don't know, because you see, propaganda is the biggest thing when there is armed conflict. Yeah. But there is the issue of whether their military capability have been neutralized. But it has been brought down to a very manageable tone. They have been hit hard. And all you see is their big ally, the big brothers like China and whatever, saying it's a shame without jumping on this conflict. And therefore, in terms of geopolitics, geo-interest, and geostrategy, maybe these experts will tell us what should Africans take as a move for their interest, because foreign affairs and diplomacy is about the state's interest. Right. What should be our interest in this conflict, and how should we go forward? And what is the Kenya position? What is Tanzania position? East Africa position? How should we leverage and take advantage? I know it sounds immoral, but take advantage in a good way, Waki. Take advantage so that we leap forward. Yes,
we will get there.
Doing
Wait and see.
Wait and see is also foreign policy.
We'll get there, but maybe we should send our missiles. We have them. But there's something that has come up.
I was in a class in the US, and we were asked, who is your favorite philosopher? Yeah. And I told you this. I said it's Ali Mazrui. And the teacher was so mad. Almost threw me out of class. Why? Because I told him, because Ali Mazrui said that Africans should also have nuclear weapon. And so Ali Mazrui was saying the only way to de-escalate aggression is by having nuclear weapon. If everybody had it, nobody will use it.
So there's something that has come up from that question, and I would like us to give it a little bit of continuity so that we're able to seal it up. We've had all the panelists have talked about Trump. Trump has featured very badly across your responses. And then again, we have the issue of the international bodies. When all these things are happening, where is the UN? Where are the international bodies that are supposed to supervise this? Where is the international nuclear something that I don't know, IEA or something? Because now, if I'm being accused, if I'm the prefect of nuclear, and I'm saying that Ojwang has a nuclear in his bedroom, and we have a whole institution that manages the placement of nuclear, they should go to Ojwang's bedroom, under the bed, and tell us there's no nuclear, or there is. And if there is one, what happens? And then again, I'm going to cue in a video at some point where North Korean President Kim is driving a nuclear truck in the city. I think the boy is missing out. They're having a lot of FOMO. And Trump, you remember Trump on his campaign, he wrote on the branding that he's never started war. In fact, he said, all my predecessors have been fighting other countries. I'm the only president who has not started any war. And I've saved Americans a lot of money by not doing war. He's now doing the exact opposite of what he criticized. So two things actually. International institutions, where are they? All these things happening. And the other conversation is Trump, because it looks like he's the boy who is shooting up.
You're right. There are so many experiments. We were discussing this with my brother Minde, that he's carrying about here. You're talking of institutions, and it reminds me, Ojwang, where is the Board of Peace that was formed a month ago?
It has just carried out its function.
And people were saying, now, is this a Board of Peace or
a Board of War?
A Board of War. So when you look at even the preamble, the language of the so-called Board of Peace, it's like he's trying to supplant the UN. And that comes with, your observation, Bitok, is right. That comes with, he gave us a litany of agencies of the UN that US is pulling out. 66. So it tells you the perception or the view of the administration towards multilateralism. And it reminds me, Ojwang, also that at one time, across there, your story of Ali Mazrui. So we were taken to have a session on the working of the UN for 3 months. And towards the end, we were around, I think, 8, they call us international students, 8 on a scholarship. So then we went for a meeting with Ban Ki-moon at that time. So he told us things, and then a Nigerian guy asked, "You have been telling us everywhere, Secretary General, where we went, whether it is Department of Peacekeeping, UNDP, they tell us above 60% of their agenda is Africa. But nothing is happening. Why is UN not helping Africa?" And you know, the Mzee Ban Ki-moon told us, if you are junior scholars from international scholars from Africa, and we're expecting after your scholarship you go back there, do not repeat the idea that UN will work for you. Yes, he said 2 things. The UN is a forum for states to pursue their interests. He said it is a negotiation forum. It doesn't work for states. And he added and said that the UN is as good as the states that make it. And I think I have always, even with my students, I raise that as a question debate. And then we can see the frustrations we have. We will punch the UN, just like the AU, and say, where are you? A member of the P5, who are supposed to be custodians, does not respect the charter. Issues on non-aggression. What he has said, you know, I was just looking at one of the things we write, and we are looking at what is happening to the established principles of diplomacy. You know, peaceful existence of states, reciprocity, so that if you abuse me, I also abuse you, I don't bomb you, isn't it? Something like that. Issues of negotiations, dialogue. What has happened? And it's what Minde was saying. You know, issues of rules-based, so that we can predict. You know, we are like a herd of very strong animals somewhere, so there should be some predicted, you know, rules-based. What has happened? But this tells you that all this was going well when we all stuck around a universal body. We respected it. We said, okay, even the president of Togo is greater than the Secretary General of the UN because we have sovereignty, doesn't have. But then we respect. We have, it's an intergovernmental organization. It's not an NGO. We are the ones who formed it as government. But now the strongest pair, one who contributes more and therefore has what Minde says weighted vote, isn't it? So the rest, you know, we have equal maybe vote, but the one who pays more, when Ojwang is the one buying, when he speaks, we all listen, whatever he wants, because there is weighted voting. So multilateralism, the UN, Bitok, you will actually still ask, where are they? But they are as good as the states that make it. Because what Ojwang mentioned, George Bush doctrine, the UN tried, you know, and it's almost exactly like a cycle of history. Because this man said preemptive attack. I mean, they remember. And the reason for that is saying these people have weapons of mass destruction. The UN followed up to now. They said it was the biggest lie. It was nothing like that.
But Saddam is gone.
Yes. Yes, Saddam is
like
gone.
hoops.
And some people are saying also, some people are saying that even in the negotiations, it emerged, you know, between the false negotiation, which we can say was not in good faith. You know, we used to be told in the School of War Studies, we used to be told that one of the tactics is you call your enemy to negotiation as you prepare.
Wow.
So as Iran was negotiating, US was now ramping up its ships around the Middle East. So the bottom line is that multilateral institutions are there, but they are being violated. As he says also, the idea of rules-based has been controversial, but I'm very happy that those who are against it are coming back and saying, let's go back to rules-based. Okay. China and the others were saying, yes, they were saying, they were adding one word and saying, we must say inclusive rules-based or something unanimous. Because they were saying the rules-based was being set by the West. Yes, the West. And the same West now has totally thrown away this rules-based, and now the other side is saying, no, we want to go back to the rules-based. So we expect, if you may allow, maybe I'm jumping the ship, that the gun is that for Africa.
We'll get to Africa.
We'll get there.
All the
yes, very good.
It just reminded me. Wakati umechokozana na mtu village, umeshika mawe nyana, wakuja tuongee tu. Tuongee. Nakona mawe kwa mgongo. Minde. Trump, our good friend, came up, won an election on the pretense that I'm the only American president never started war. And this is why I'm the best bet. We have the international institutions. Why do we have them if they cannot be there for us when we need them?
I think that's the puzzle in the room. And allow me to respond it in the following ways. There's something they call the forever wars. That is an American concept where because of the military-industrial complex and the profitability of wars, it doesn't matter which administration comes into power. And of course, there's also the elephant in the room, the role of Israel. And of course, there are many profiteers of war. There's what we call the war economy, and it's quite vast. And this military-industrial complex is what is benefiting. This is actually their moment to do that. Secondly, I think there's a scholar we read a lot in international relations called John Miashmi, who talks about the tragedy of great power politics. And he speaks about the inevitability of conflict, that conflict will forever be there because there is that aspiration by global powers for hegemony. So so they don't know how much power is enough. So they will continue to seek more power. But I like what also Muliro brought earlier on, the rise of China. And so in the updated version of this book, John Miashma speaks about how the rise of China is now shaking this order, which has been established. And you might see that we have been there's some form of dynamism in polarity. So we moved from the Cold War, where there is bipolarity, which brings about some form of balance of power. And then post-1990, we say there was a unipolar moment where there is the triumph of the liberal order, which is espoused by the American. But now there's my other favorite scholar, Joseph Nye, who spoke about the proliferation of global order. So we are seeing many powers that I imagine, including the rise of China, India, what we call the BRICS, Russia. So there's some form of this marauding power per se. But that also has a challenge in itself. And now, thirdly, is on the question of institutions. And I want to challenge my colleagues. Have you ever wondered why there is no American who is ever in charge of these international institutions in the first place? Because they understand these institutions, they act on our purview. I've even said there is no way that we have an American Secretary General of the United Nations or IMF, blah, blah, blah. Of course, there is that complexity. So they know where power really lies. So to be honest, the international institutions have really suffered right now. So international institutions. I teach a course on international organizations and global governance at the moment, and one of the puzzling issues is, okay, the Secretary General can give a statement, and that statement can be rubbished the following minute by Donald Trump. He says it means absolutely nothing. So you see that they have lost this relevance, if you may say. Look, Muliro, you are right. These international institutions are, it's an arena of great powers. So they use them as tools to advance their interests, if you may use a more radical approach. But lastly, on the question that you have asked about Trump, and I've said, I think Trump is a phenomenon that is needs to be studied more. He came to power in 2016. He began by dismantling, this global order. There was some form of an agreement between Iran and the P5+1, these nations, on the nuclear deal, the JCPOA. 2020, he killed actually the head of the RGSC, that is Qasem Soleimani. And then we saw even this semblance of American democracy was being challenged by the very man himself, with him not even agreeing that he lost an election. Of course, those are local dynamics, but you can just see even the January 6th insurrections. I'm just trying to mirror it. If it had happened anywhere else in America other than America, it is what happens in what we call banana republics. But look, this is happening in America, which is the same Donald Trump. There is even talk about a third term. This is, the ideal American democracy that we have been speaking about, that has become as the ideal espoused democratic norms and ideas.
What democratic prefect?
It's no longer there. Here comes 2020. Look, there's been a lot of disruptions. So after he comes into power in 2024, early January 2024, what does he do? Unilaterally, he does away with USAID, all this aid and all that. Quickly comes the issue of tariffs, slapping tariffs here and there, abusing other states. So this is not something that the world has been used for. So that phenomenon of Donald Trump is quite puzzling. Look, he invites people to White House and humiliates them. Yesterday you were speaking about his closest ally, UK. He don't, you're not Churchill. Talks about Spain in very derogatory terms. So this is something, the disruption I'm talking about, that has really disrupted the global way of looking at things. That today we can think about removing a head of state, and we speak openly about regime change, which I think Europe, I think, has also been caught in this puzzle, I can tell you. I was in Europe at the time when there was speculation that Donald Trump is the front runner, is going to win this election, and Europe was caught unaware. And Europe, because of the historical nature with the allies, with very strong, they have this historical ties with America. We see it as the special relationship is even being questioned. Look, it was just recently he wants to take over Greenland. Then all of a sudden Europe realizes, this is going to hurt us. But again, look, they do the same thing to another foreign country in this war. Nothing is being said. So it is this disorder that is really the challenge of our times, to be very frank with you, Mr. Bitok.
All right. Okay. Ojwang, where's your boy?
Yeah, the assumption that liberalism and there's been order is being challenged. And of course, as history repeats itself, remember Qatar and the Iran rescue that costed him presidency. International law is weak law because it's not enforced, it's still enforced by the states. Unlike a local law, domestic law, Kenya law, we have judiciary that is independent, we have the prosecutor, we have the jail. International law still relies so much in the hand of the state. And that's why some even consider it primitive law, or is it really law? And that, of course, we are now catching up with the hypocrisy that you praise it when it works for you and you trash it when it does not work for you, which is what has been happening. Because remember, Africans are coming in as object of international law. It took a while before our independence for us to be part of international law. We were colonized based on international law. Terra nullius, land without people, people without land. Columbus was flying with the letter written by Pope Innocent IV that was telling him that I've given you that land, just go towards India. And that's why Columbus is going that way, as Vasco da Gama is coming this way. What is his authority? a letter from Pope. So we have seen, and I think we just forget, but we have seen that the serious hypocrisy on international law, that this has been the game. Only that, the American idea of walk softly but carry a big stick. Trump is also not diplomatic to package them well enough for the world. But here it is.
He's just giving us a deal.
We always talk of American exceptionalism. Help us come with ICC, International Criminal Court, never again, but refuse to sign it. But say none of our members can be taken to ICC. We will go to war, sign bilateral treaties with countries that if an American is accused, you hand them to America, you don't hand them to ICC, and many other. The treaty, the treaty on children's rights, America has refused to sign it because they have argued it will interfere with the custody rights of the parents. Why are you elevating the right of children beyond the right of parents? So we have to accept that the world is bigger than it exists in the mind of international lawyers. The real world, the real politic is much bigger. That is not to excuse what is happening, but it explains what is happening. And to me, that is the difference that we must have. So that some of us in international law have also come with a third world approach to international law. That we should also look at international law from our interest. Because international law has been about interest. So we should not be so naive to be idealist and think of international law without interest. Because whenever a country wants to do something, they do it in the name of protecting human rights. They went to Iraq and said, we are going there to protect the human rights there. Remember, I met Hans Blix, the inspector who was inspecting whether there was chemical weapon. Before you know it, his report was saying there is none, but America said we'll rather go defend Iraq. A few of the Iraqis there were brought, put into a ballot. Democracy has been met in Iraq, especially the Iraqi diaspora, the ones who voted, because back there, and so it has backfired because there was the idea that maybe Saddam was the most liberal. He wasn't a fundamentalist, and he had allowed Christians to thrive, and he was into these worldly things. He wasn't so much into allowed God, and so there was room for others, but they removed him. So you know that words that are taboo, like regime change, are now okay, and we are seeing that some country can go and do something in the name of regime change. So where is the international institutions? Of course, in multilateralism, they are just as strong as the nations because they are created by the nations. And we also know, why are we asking that question? Where were they in Rwanda conflict? Remember, Rwanda genocide happened. There was UN. And in fact, for a very long time, the UN general who was leading the troop, the guy from Canada, he has written a book, Shaking Hands with the Devil. Yes. And he became suicidal because he saw Romeo. He saw the world refuse to help Rwanda. He asked for his mandate to be increased to support and help people from being killed. He was told, no, your mandate is just to protect the UN property and the few UN workers there. And he became a drunkard. I've seen him speak in one of his series physically when we, in the university he came. And he said he has even tried to commit suicide twice because he looked at the UN and how people are being killed. And America and UN are discussing if we are to deploy troops, which flag should we paint the equipment? Should it be American flag or the UN? Meanwhile, people are dying. And that took very long. And you know America was obsessed or discussing the issue of did O.J. Simpson really kill his wife and didn't care whatever was happening. So I'm bringing that to say that let us accept that this so-called institution and good offices work international relations. The realists say the powerful do what they want, the weak must suffer what they must. President Moi put it very easily and very casually that when America sneezes, people catch the cold. And so as long as we have not internalized that, so that when you align and before you talk, you understand how do you align, because that's the reality. The image of Saddam being pulled from the rubble and lying that he's a taxi driver, and being told, can you open your mouth? And they have this dental formula, and they say, you went to the dentist, you have a gap here, you have a weak tooth here, you are Saddam, you are not a taxi driver, to end. And then tried. So the issue of victor's justice, that is the justice we are seeing under international law only done by the person who has won. If Saddam will have won, he will have tried Bush. Right now, they just killed the guy, but if they captured him, they will have tried him and convicted him. So we see, just like in a school, we have rules, and usually people who cannot protect themselves rely on these rules very much. But the big people, they don't care about the rules. So the rules protect more the weak people. That's the reality.
All right. The comments are... Isaac Burge, good to see you. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Governor Nichi at Bitok Chamgio umentupa sana tupo ndugu yangu, asante. Everyone is coming live. Collins Doa Kata, thank you so much. I hope you're okay. Doa, the music is not as you guys are used to, so I hope you're safe. Please stay safe and stay covered. Okay. Robert, Republic of Kenya, emblem us two lions. Operation Rolling Lion, interesting conversations here. Okay, I doubt we can roar, but the experts will tell us now if you can also roar. And Korobicha watching from Kericho County to Kolokta Asante Sana, Tabureti Asante, watching from Kericho County, Belgood Asante, Governor Nick. Abel Samabul, please. Our match is Museveni. Okay. Okay, very nice. Alfred Sergeant Koes, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jad Ezekiah, watching live from Ziwa, Wazingishu County. Asante sana ndugu yangu, salimia watu wa Ziwa na Kerotet, mbeta tembea tena. Tony Sankara, I find these guys, who's this guy now? Sankara. Anyway, I hope you're not going to find a missile anytime soon. Young Maranga, Ambassador Steve Jr., okay, good to see you. War is a place where young people who don't know each other and don't hate each other, kill each other, based on the decisions made by the old people who know each other and hate each other, but don't kill each other. Okay. I pull up again. War is a place where young people who don't know each other and don't hate each other, kill each other based on the decisions made by old people who know each other and hate each other, but don't kill each other. Well, these ones,
it's interesting because... in the US, in the Vietnam War, it was so unpopular that people started hating soldiers. Because you can't have war without soldiers. But then, of course, under international law, they're supposed to be professional. So the Americans' biggest success was, even if you don't like war, support our troops. You will find young kids giving them cookie, flowers. When they get to the airport, priority, the pilot will ask, or the agent, do we have any veterans? Please come, and we have upgraded you. So if you are treating soldiers this way, regardless of the war, then now the person who is calling the shot and is not feeling the heat. So before they will be throwing things at the soldier, and the soldiers will be so demoralized. But now they have agreed, let us support our soldiers regardless.
Okay. Elizabeth Tinabet, watching nikiwa hapa Kiamburu, asante sana. Egam was watching from West Pokot. Now, there is a video. I said it to these two gentlemen before John came in. Like I had mentioned, it's about North Korean President Kim Jong-un. And actually, it's an interesting one. That is around a week ago. He was driving in the capital city, driving nuclear weapon trucks around. He was having fun, and the Rayas were around it, chanting and cheering. Openly, he's not hiding in the way they're saying Iran is hiding it. He's driving around. And if this war, my question is, if this war is about, if it's about nuclear, why are we not bombing North Korea? Let's have that video up.
Check out this video of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un behind the wheel of a nuclear-capable launcher. State media says he drove it himself through central Pyongyang. Notice how carefully it's shot. Long distance angles only, you barely see Kim climbing in, and then we get a glimpse in the window as he rolls past. And of course, the crowd goes wild. Party members and military brass jumping and cheering like they're at a rock concert. Kim unveiled 50 new transporter erector launchers. These are for North Korea's 600mm multiple rocket system. Pyongyang says it can carry tactical nuclear warheads. Kim calls the system a deterrent, warning unnamed enemies their command structures would collapse in an instant. You can see the launchers lined up outside this grand marble-lined hall. That's where North Korea's 9th Party Congress is going to begin soon. It's a massive political event that only happens every 5 or so years. The timing and location of these nuclear-capable launchers is deliberate. Kim is projecting power and strength, both at home in Pyongyang and beyond.
I think you've seen that video. You guys had seen it. And that's even like you were saying, the joke time that asking, you're saying you're looking for nuclear. These guys have nuclear. Why you bumping up like, are you crazy? So, I mean, because the moral scale, Wilfred, if we are actually looking for me, there's someone who is actually moving around with missiles. Forget about you're going to look for them. Yeah, surely. Why are we not going to North Korea? And I think this guy is having some serious fear of missing out. Guys are not evolving, they cannot play with these toys. Why are we not going there?
And actually, just to confirm, maybe, Minde, I think we are somewhere on our platform, and the North Korea guy has said something, don't know whether it's misinformation, to the fact that if Iran asks him, he can help them with the weapons. And it's the same question, naturally, Bitok, that is it because North Korea has nothing of interest to these powers? Because he's a person who keeps on anytime demonstrating, launching. And if it is governance that he was talking about, democracy does not exist there. That is an absolute king. It's not like the others who say we are constitutional monarchs. That one is total. And I think it's the same. It brings me back to what I was, my opinion and my thinking. With some remote information from media and the rest, is that the person of the president of the United States now is aware of the normal, the normal cycle of powers succeeding each other. We've had even the Roman Empire. We've had the, Ottoman, British. Yes, very, very. Now with the US. So nothing is perpetual in terms of global power. They say, and I mean, you are saying this, but still your friends, they were talking about why are global powers trying to insulate themselves from globalization, which they were praising so much, because of liberalism. And they were saying it has reached a plateau. They were getting abnormal profits from this. Some of us, the weak ones you are talking about, we join the system and we are the ones who are the victims. If there is no that liberalism, they cannot access our minerals, our cheap labor with their colored paper, as the person talks about the dollar. So it has reached a plateau, and that plateau, it gives you that it is the American global ideology. Maybe the Chinese have now the narratives, but the ideology of economic liberalism, democracy, institutions, multilateralism, rules-based. They're the ones behind the UN formation. But why are they abandoning it? Globalization. Why are they abandoning it? Because it doesn't benefit them now. But some people are saying it's because they have reached a plateau where the only movement is downwards as another power starts rising. But I think because of he's a maverick, he's practical, as you say, pragmatic, and other people are saying he's extremely transactional. It's the way that we can have deals. Mali, yes, we know Sahel, you have violated democracy, but then you have minerals that we want in our competition with China. Or we don't want Russia to take you. So they start conversations in that area there, very transactional. But some people are saying that he's doing this to hold. I saw another video, but there's a lot of, that information, conspiracy theories. The people are saying that if he does not do what he's doing, then this power, the hegemonic power, which Minde has said very well, that now other powers have emerged to challenge the post-Cold War superpower, as this man who said the last man, yes, Fukuyama. Yes, they say that, in fact, they started the argument that actually he has noted that the US was a superpower for not more than, said 4 months or something. He says, after that, it remained a great power. He says superpower means there's absolute respect from all the states. He had that because there was a vacuum. But after that, other states, as you are saying, North Korea, defiance and small powers economically. So it remained a great power. But now Trump is looking at this and saying, how can we improve our economic power and our military influence globally? So he's a maverick. I think we may see maybe as if he was an African, like Libya, Gaddafi and Mugabe, they label him as a madman. But now that it is in the US, we don't say that. But we are seeing total kicking, all that the US stood for, because they realize that it is not working. If you stick to liberalism and US is playing, China is playing protectionism, you are sticking to human rights in Africa, and China is coming and saying, we are not interfering. Whether you are a dictator or what, we are trading. We respect you. And so Trump is almost doing the same so that they catch up. Because I'm told even the idea of critical minerals, China is far beyond control of the supply chains compared to the US. US is catching up. That they started earlier. They are dominating the market, semiconductors and the rest. So Trump might be doing something good, as they say, in terms of make America great again for his state. That raise, slap this. But the end point is what we are not sure of. Whether states will just remain victims of his decisions or they look for alternatives. And some of the alternatives is changing the alliance system. So people will form coalitions that were never there because you have pushed them in a corner.
So that is now a new world order.
Yes, a new world order, as you're observing. Now shaping because you have to survive. Like even us, we are trying to diversify, not to stick just and say, okay,
bilateralism
we have our traditional allies, we must stick to them. No, states are trying now to diversify into areas that they didn't have before. So that is one element that I think this triumphism is shaping the global order. Thank you.
Minde. Doctor, if we are looking for weapons, why are we not going to North Korea? If we're looking for nuclear, because North Korea is saying, here we are displaying it. It's a show. It's a fashion show. And as it is now, the powers are busy looking for where the nuclear is. If we are really looking for nuclear, why are we not going to North Korea?
Well, of course, maybe first I respond to your earlier question about Kim Jong-un. Of course, that's the humor of war. It sometimes helps to, reduce the tension when we say his toys he needs to use the toys and he's feeling left out. I think that's the humor of the war, which sometimes helps to diffuse the tensions. But I think there's also that I was reading somewhere, there's what has been termed in the West as the authoritarian axis, where now they can talk about Iran, North Korea, Russia, is no, it's like an alliance of evil, and why people are asking why isn't these countries why aren't they coming to the aid of Iran? But again, I think it's more complex than that. I think states understand the interest, they understand the implications of this geopolitical struggle, even as it is right now. Even the support of the war by the American citizens themselves is quite low. But again, the question of nuclear war, as you rightly ask, there's been debate who has the right to have this nuclear. My colleague we were discussing, Dr. Guido was saying, let people find that you already have this nuclear. They thought, don't broadcast it that you're already doing these things, so the way maybe North Korea has done. And nuclear deterrence is a thing that I have nuclear, you have nuclear, then tunaheshimiana kidogo, tunaheshimiana. Germany and France,
they are going to do that. Not outside, not because they don't trust NATO, but they are doing that because they have realized it is a deterrence.
Of course, even
you're right,
India,
you're right.
Even India and Pakistan, it's the same thing that happened.
But so some serious stuff,
so you can understand this. In fact, Kenneth Walls, a scholar that we read a lot in international relations, he said, in fact, he wrote an argument that Iran should get the bomb. Right, and he made a convincing argument. This is an American scholar that Iran, once Iran gets the bomb, then it could be a route towards a peaceful Middle East. And this chaos that we are witnessing is this imbalance that is being brought up by this the fact that Iran did not really achieve its goal. Even
so the goal is to stop.
Mind you, let me ask you a question. Do you think if Russia did not have nuclear, don't you think Americans would have done the same to Russia? They would have, of course. So you can understand this international dynamics. When then the question of North Korea, I think North Korea understands this very, very well. Every time he tests his toys, and of course there is the image that people always the politics of image. Even I always tell my students, why do you think Kenya, when we are doing Jamhuri Day, of course we have to project, we have to display, and you know why they do that? They do that in front of the foreign dignitaries, foreign head of state. Yes, and so this is what we have. So Kenya does this, and then Tanzania says, oh, kumbe hawa jamaa wako vizuri hapa sasa.
Let's go diplomatic.
So even we have even Russia does that a lot. This military parade, China.
So once you're now, you bring your toys to play.
Of course.
So you are wondering why North Korea. What mineral does North Korea have? That is number one.
But
so back to interest, and if they have it, that America cannot get from South Korea. South Korea is their ally. So it's not about nukes, we know that. If it was, then, even experts are saying Iran had no capacity to form one. But remember, during the Shah regime, Israel had a direct oil pipeline that fed them with oil. American companies were kicked out of Iran. And that's when the leader became radical. Just the same way, if you look at the terrorist list of America, you'll find when Saddam Hussein was put as a terrorist and when he was being supported, they supported him. Remember, even they knew that he had the weapons, even the planes, because they gave him. But when they were tired of him, they put him in the terrorist list. So I think Ayatollah had cut out America and Israel. And that's why America went to the Venezuela company, which they were chased by Chavez and all that. But words like empires, imperialism, colonialism, neocolonialism, civilization, modernization, sovereignty, rule of law, they are the words that I see Kenyans take like it's biblical words. Right, territorial integrity, freedom
of expression,
liberalism. they are words that were crafted by the same people. And sometimes we take these jokes too far, because you find a scholar who cannot see the cynicism and cannot accept even a theory like third world approach to this thing. They're saying, no, world is one, the world is doing well, the world is... These are things that are crafted. Just like you have seen even human rights scholar, one have written The End of Human Rights, and is describing it as a confused narrative. Even witches now claim there is a right to be a night runner. Everyone, whatever you want to do bad, you claim you are doing it in the name of human rights.
But night running is movement. It's a right to movement.
Inconsistent with other people sleeping, though. But you remember what African countries did? At some point, African countries became tired of UN. And ECOWAS have done very well with the idea of responsibility to protect. Because according to the UN Charter, it is the Security Council that should first say, now move in and protect. The ECOWAS and the African countries push the idea of responsibility to protect, and they have done very well. They are moving in whenever there's a problem among themselves and not waiting for UN. Until now, NATO took the same concept and went after Gaddafi. So I think that my emphasis is that let us learn the hypocrisy. That most countries praise international law when it works for them and trash it when it does not work for them. And of course, because some countries are weak, you want the rule of law, because you can predict your behavior, then it can protect you. The law protects you. And that is one way of surviving. The other way of surviving is to strategically align with the bully. And strategically align there, so that, because it has been proved over and over that America as an ally will come to your aid, including using military force. We have seen them supporting Israel. But we have seen Russia not doing the same. We have seen China not doing the same. We have seen South Korea showing their toys. So you need an ally who will not just say, Bitok, it's a shame what they did to you, but will fight with you and be in jail with you, saying, Bwana, hata kama tumeenda down, we have put on a good fight.
I was actually telling some people here that maybe there is a, people have been arguing. Now everyone is an expert, so I've been seeing some guys arguing here in the group about Iran and USA and China. So just telling
the issue of morality.
Maybe you need to listen to the experts.
The issue of morality of the actions. Unfortunately, we live in a world where power deters power, and that's what that they have been talking about. Because there's a concept called you kill a chicken to scare the monkey. That monkey see the way you have killed that chicken. He's saying, well, I can't mess with this guy. And that's what that guy is also trying to do with his toys. Yes. He's showing and brushing them and saying, I'm doing push-up and I'm ready. But we all know that with the capability of the US, in most of these countries, the war is over before it even begins. And why do US invest so much money in military and the intelligence and all this? And of course, when you now go to budget reading, they will, if Kenya put a little more money in weapons, they will say, no, put it in hospital. Now put it in agriculture. What are you trying to do here, boy?
Sensitization of democracy.
Put it on sensitization. Put it in FGM to stop female genital mutilation. But for them, a big part of the America, I don't know which percentage of their budget goes to military, and then foreign aid to Israel. Big part of it goes to military aid, because they know that power is the only way you talk to to others.
All right. MMS Big Gulf watching from Marsabit County. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's a pleasure to have you. Kabon Sarah, very happy you are back. My favorite station. Gerald, tuachia nani kama fans wako. Poleni. Nilikuwa nimeenda hiatus kidogo, hata mimi nilikuwa nimeenda vita ngambo, lakini nimerudi. I'm back. I'm back. I'm seeing Giovanni Capello. Giovanni Capello says, it's a long one. It's all about Greater Israel. If you guys want to understand what's driving this war, it's not about America. It's about Zionists. Israel lobby-funded Trump. Inside lobby-funded Trump, there is a lady who gave Trump a lot of money during his first term, and they allowed Israel to grab Jerusalem and Golan Heights in Lebanon. Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has business interests with Arab royal families. They want to rebuild Gaza after they wipe out all Palestinians. Trump didn't want to attack Iran, but he made mistakes sending carriers to Persian Gulf. So after Netanyahu sees it will be advantage for him to attack Iran because there will be no turning back for America, but jump on board because interest in the Middle East. Okay, but Iran religion doesn't allow them to have into a super leader who was killed, who has been preventing because he was following the religion script. Okay, all right. That takes me to the question that you are discussing with the angle, the history and the religion. You're like, touch not the anointed, right? Touch not the anointed. And this like,
touch not my anointed.
He blesses Israel.
Because clearly,
bless him, God will bless him.
He beef historical.
Yeah, you should really.
And these are students
emphasizing and organizing about.
Who wants
Israel
to jump on it?
Equation.
Who wants to jump on that? Let's start with you. Can I have 30 seconds? On that, yeah. Start with you. On the issue, the history behind this conflict, when dating back all the because people are even borrowing from this from religious books that this was our land. The historians are saying you were sent by the Lord back in the Old Testament that I shall give you that land. So it is our land. And the Iranians are also saying, and these are the guys within the Islamic countries that we belong here, and this is also our land. The history of religion and the fights that have been happening before Christ came around.
Whether it's Armageddon.
And people are being told don't touch. Even now, the alliances, the alliances you're having now is between Muslims and Christians. There's the alliances now.
Maybe I can take 1 minute on that, and then I leave my colleagues. And I'm a Christian. I see a lot of evangelical are leaning towards if you bless Israel, you are blessed. Fortunately, my church don't have the same position because we claim that we are now the current Israelites by Jesus dying for us on the cross. Well, why are you smiling sheepishly?
It's shows that you are now an Israelite.
But number two, if it is based on shallow reading of the Bible, because if you read Bible well, you can see Persia is Iran. And you can see God calling Cyrus my servant. That's in the Bible. I have sent Cyrus my anointed. In fact, he is the only person God calls anointed. Cyrus was the king of Persia. When Nehemiah, this thing we sing about Nehemiah na Kikombe na Machozi and whatever, was sad at the king's palace. He was sad in Iran. And it is the Iranians that gave him gold and told him go back and build the second temple. So there is nothing historical so much about bad blood between Arabs and Jews. In fact, this is a new thing. It is in Europe. It is in Europe where the Jews were killed. Holocaust would happen in Germany. And it is actually, even America did not help the Jews when they were being killed. And that's why they are guilty. And that's why they are overcompensating, isn't it? Never again, they said. It is the Arabs that helped them. So Arabs did not kill them in Holocaust, though they are mentioning Holocaust. It is in Europe. Arabs, actually, Persia and whatever, have been very good ally and neighbors. And of course, even that biblically, we know they are related. So I don't think it's a very deep spiritual war. But when you are in conflict, you use everything, isn't it? So the idea of spirituality twaenda Zayuni and that is the Holy Land. Romanticize this thing and excuse them, because others have argued that they always cry fall more than others. These people want to finish us. But they are saying, look, you are here killing people with tomahawk and all these things. People who are throwing stones, and you are calling them a danger to yourself. You can even look at how media are recording this thing.
Reporting.
BBC, for example, will call that territory occupied. But CNN will say disputed territory. Israel went and built a wall between them. It's like Kenya and Uganda fighting, then we go to Jinja and build a wall to say, this is to protect us from you, Uganda, which UN said the wall was illegal, and you have to look for a pass to pass every time. So in terms of aggression and in terms of historical, there is nothing so much bad blood historically. These are new development that are being created for the convenience, and we know why. And I think that the best thing is that as a Christian, everyone is a child of God.
It's not child of Satan. Okay, I'll come to you, then I go back to Minde. Yes.
So
unaelekea Zayuni. Unajua amesema unaelekea Zayuni.
Yes. So
Zayuni the disputed land.
Not so much of history. There is much Bitok. And again, as he says, for the purposes of managing the situation, there are several interpretations. Some of them to subvert the truth so that you can continue. So the Israel-Palestine, I was listening to another lady, a historian on that, and she was the one giving that statement of, they were looking around where to put them, whether it's in Africa, near us here. Yes. But then they went back, also went to search and said, we have found a land without people. For people without land. For people without land. So that is the other end there. But I agree to some level with my brother here, Duncan, that the root of bitterness is more in Europe than it is where they are domiciled. The Jewish history of Holocaust and the rest there. And the idea of Minde, will remember that in international relations, there's what I call atonement. You start treating with a child's gloves the people or a nation that you feel was let down by the international community. And that is like Rwanda. Every time you want to be very hard on them, and Kagame plays around with we suffered genocide, you help, you go slow. That is Japan, because of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The US will always be atoning, it will help them because they know they did damage that remained historical. But then the Israelites also might be enjoying the same. Because of the Holocaust, the West keeps on atoning for their sins, and they hold them with a child's glove. And I get where Minde is coming from, because I've been thinking about this. The domination of Israel on the political thought of the American administrations is something that you cannot easily understand unless you get the normal stories of the how they are intricate, the Jews and that community. Because if you look at when Obama came, he revived the idea of the joint plan on the joint plan, actually comprehensive joint plan, something like that, with Iran, the nuclear deal discussions. Then our friend comes now, first term, 2018, I think around there. He thrashes that and in fact ramps up they call them what? The sanctions against Iran. But then again, also, for us, you are right that religion provides some of the ingredients, fodder, yes, for mobilizing and also pushing the minds around that region there. creating distinct divisions so that you can say, now this is a bad, this is a good one. And I was surprised. I think maybe some of you know better that I'm told around disputed places there is the historical temple and there is also the historical mosque. In that case. Mm-hmm. So, and they existed very well historically. Mm-hmm. People move and do their things until, just like in Rwanda, you know the story of Rwanda. Mm-hmm. It was called Rwanda Urundi. He is the neighbor, he'll know that more. Mm-hmm. And the Belgians come and look at those people and they say, you know, you are different. Mm-hmm. You know that you are light-skinned and your brother here is not light-skinned, you are taller, you are this. So please, these other people are supposed to be...
they're supposed to live.
Yes, to be your servants. And then that entrenches, and the ultimate outcome is the genocide that we saw there. So the history, Bitok, is convoluted, just like the history about Africa. You know, unless you work very hard to get the original arrangements, you'll just go with the history that the victor wants you to understand. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I think in the story of Palestine and Israel or the Middle East and the US, I think to some level, two things have happened. One, that it has become like a political mobilization or an excuse for administrations. In fact, at one time it was known that one of the elements of foreign policy for any new leader in the US was to call these guys in Camp David and try to talk to them. You must be doing something about Israel. Then now you are with the people. And then the other thing is whenever you have internal pressure, we are looking at November, midterm elections. We don't know whether this regime, the war will make it better or worse, but I agree with my friend Minde here that public opinion globally does not favor what is happening in Iran. It looks like the US actually got into a war that does not have positive returns for them.
It doesn't have PR.
Yes.
Okay, they nuked themselves. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
That's not the anointed.
Of course, you know, the issues of faith and religion are very sacrosanct in their motive. And of course, the creation of the State of Israel revolves around this history of the Promised Land and all that. And it's very complicated. Even, you know, the Palestinian territory. The other day I was listening to an interview. Tucker Carlson was speaking to Mike Huckabee, who is Israel ambassador to American ambassador to Israel, and they were speaking about these issues, and it can be quite emotive. So you can understand that religion, it is almost like an intersection between religion and geopolitics and the like. But again, it was when you are speaking about Israel, most of it comes with a preceding statement called the right to exist. So there is that narrative that has been perpetuated for a long time. And someone always asks, why do we always refer to Israel with this connotation of the right to exist? Don't also other states also and the right to all these things? So all these come with narratives creation. And just to be very final, look at how narratives are created. And I think this is the gist of this conflict. This conflict, if you are to state how it started, for me, I will always look at October 7th as the defining moment. Because since October 7th, with what happened with the Hamas attack and the killing of Israelis, it led to this domino effect. We have seen the fall of Bashar al-Assad in Syria. We have seen the killing of Nasrallah, the Hezbollah leader in Lebanon. We saw the killing of Hamas leaders, the two of them, that is Sinwar and the other one, okay? And then it you know, finally, I think the jigsaw in the puzzle is what we are seeing now with Iran. And look, and the way, I'm sorry to say this, even the phrasing of October 7th is very similar to how we used to phrase 9/11. So it is through that narrative that we create 9/11, it becomes a war on terror. So the October 7th, and I'm a student of strategy, I look at this from a strategic point of view. Oh, this has a domino effect from what really happened on October 7th. I do not want to touch very closely on the issue of touch not my anointing, the question of the biblical promise and all that, because I understand the emotiveness that comes with it, and of course it is quite complex. Yes, and we also need to understand that we are also being watched.
Or the perceptions.
No, you know.
The divided perception.
No, but
those who are for Israel.
Both. No, I can't do that. But you see, all of them, I don't have nuclear to protect myself. Both of them are Abrahamic faith.
You say you declare you don't have, you're already opening up yourself.
I have. In hindsight, I have. Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are both Abrahamic faith.
Right.
They are very close. And they both follow and say their forefather is Abraham. The Abrahamic faith. They have one tendency of they can be radicalized. Because there is absolute truth. In Christianity, this is wrong, this is right. In Islam, this is right, this is wrong. In Judaism, the same. And because of that, and I want to remind you that there is a time that Christians also attacked Jerusalem.
Okay.
To take Jerusalem from the Jews, because they killed Jesus. And so Christians had a beef, Pope had signed, and they attacked the Crusades war. This word crusade, you see how to end a crusade. Where did it come from? The Crusade war was about fighting to reclaim Jerusalem. And even now, if you go to Jerusalem, you can find the Catholic Church have strong presence in that temple. It has been divided into pieces. There's the Orthodox, everyone have their corner. So at that time, the Christians were fighting the Jews for Jerusalem, shouting, "Kill for Jesus," because they were not happy that the Jews mishandled Messiah, rejected Messiah. Can you imagine rejecting your Messiah and kill Jesus? And if you look at history, I'm telling you because I teach international humanitarian law. If you look at history, the Jews had an event. There was the public slapping, where in Germany you'll find a Jew and even slap them. And the notion, look at Martin Luther, the reformer, writing on the Jews, reject them, so that God does not reject us, because they have rejected Jesus. You see, these are the history that Christians need to understand and not look at things shallow. Look at Martin Luther reformer paper on the Jews, and including details on how to identify a Jew so that you can slap them. That is in Germany. So the history is convoluted, and so I don't buy this idea that Muslims have been always mean to the Jews. They have always been the troublemaker, because I see the Bible calling Cyrus my anointed one. I see him sending Nehemiah to build the second temple with gold, and there is very good relation. If you go to Jerusalem, the market here is by Muslim, and there is very good correlation. You go to where Jesus was born in Bethlehem, it is in Palestine. And then there is nothing much. But now the geo-interest comes, geopolitics, and of course, as I said, in war, the biggest thing that must first go is truth. And there is deep propaganda that Muliro, being an expert and a student of Mwagiru, who was your teacher, the smart guy, will break down to Raya. But at least let's dig deeper and not take the shallow things of simply saying, look at that relationship. See Abraham and see Nini. These are all Abrahamic
Religion.
Yeah, I saw you.
And I'm shocked you actually partially.
Touching the wall in Israel.
And why not? And all religions are there. I was there with the Hindus and whatever.
Yes.
And because it's in that wall that God told Solomon, whoever prays in this wall, I'll hear from heaven. You have probably not been answered because you pray from very far away.
I'll go and touch it also.
Because then clearly it means that even the Christians who are now on this other side are also posturing. They're not really Israelites.
They're
To go by your analogy.
They're spiritual Israelites.
Finally, because of time. Now, you've seen the spillover effect of this war in the Middle East, and you're telling us not to call it Middle East war, the global war that we're having it now. And it's like the Swahili saying that mtego ushika pani waliokuwemo na wasiokuwepo, kwa sababu kuna ambao walikula cheese, the rats who ate the cheese, or the rats who ate the grains, and then there's those rats who are not even there that day. But the day the Trump is set, you not separate and say, okay, Minde hukua, Wilfred hukua, Ojwang, wenye ulikuwa siku hiyo. But siku wenye Ojwang, mwenye alikula hiyo grains, siku hiyo atakuwa amesafiri, ameenda kula grains nyumba ingine. But now it catches the rats who are not the original sinners. So the spillover effect is already very evident. We are seeing countries who are being attacked in the neighborhood, the UAE and all that. And like you were saying, as they're coughing there, we are catching pneumonia across board. And you come from a space of foreign affairs. And we have already made a statement as a country on this war. And generally, what does it mean for Africa? And when we met ourselves, we were asking, unataka tutumie missiles. But then again, should we sit by and watch the war? What does it mean for us? Should also Tanzania speak on it? Should Uganda speak on it? Should South Africa speak on it? Do all the African countries speak on it? Should they pick sides? And our statement, where does it take us? Are we about to get some flying gift?
Ojwang said he doesn't have nuclear weapons. But Bitok, I'll not contradict my bosses, but then I want to say this is my opinion. I think now, if you look at whether it is at UN General Assembly, you look at the African Union, Minde is here, there is that tendency, and there is that feeling among some of the states, substantial number of states in Africa and even abroad, to always, and I think Kenya is responding to this, to always ask what is the opinion of Kenya on this issue, especially if it's affecting like our region here or Africa. And the reason is because we've been able to wriggle around to be in the same books of consideration with China, and we also favorably considered by the US. So there's that feeling that huyu kijana wa Kierere pengine amesikia huku na huku, what will he say? And strategically, I think the head of state has also seen that is a way to project our position globally. And in my own opinion, I know my brother Minde has expressed himself somewhere else, and he may not agree with me on this, but we have taken a position, but not in terms of aligning with any side in the conflict. The fact that there was retaliatory attacks on some countries, and then there is the violation of multilateralism and international law by other countries. So the country was taking the position that we should de-escalate the issues, look for matters of peace. And I think I agree with the very interesting explanation by the foreign minister of Iran. He said, I've called those countries. Even me, I was asking, why should Iran do this? But he said, I've called our neighbors, who are our friends, and explained to them that we were not attacking them. It was self-defense, a war strategy where we were trying to immobilize bases of our aggressor,
Yes.
that is Israel and US. So they were saying, even if you are our friend and our enemy is
sitting in your house.
hiding in your house, we are not attacking you, but we are making sure that he doesn't come from your house with a weapon to attack us. So, and he was saying, we have explained. So I don't know whether it will be agreed by the others, but the line that you are asking is what many of the statements, including what the PS Singoya said, was this around 3 concentrated areas. One, that there should be a ceasefire. That's obvious, that was said. Number 2, that the aggression is going to affect us, and therefore we cannot keep quiet. That's why we are calling for that. And that's what I'll end with from what you said. And then number 3 is that we have very beneficial, we are now going back, Ojwang, to transactionalism in a very hard way. That if we look at our own, what he was saying, that realism, we exist to pursue our own interests, international, there's no charity, then we have very strategic partners whom we benefit from heavily. We have signed they call it a Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement with UAE, SEPA. Very heavy, isn't it? Very heavy. We have agreements with Qatar. So we also just come in to feel that while this is happening, even Iran is the leading buyer of our tea.
Yes.
In that case. So we are just looking at our interests. That's why we are commenting.
Okay.
But we are not taking a position as saying that we are condemning this. That's my view on the aspect. But this is the impact.
Being very diplomatic. Continue.
The impact is that we are in a region where already, I saw one of your writings some time back, already we are facing heavy challenges because of those waterways, the Red Sea.
Yes, yes.
When the Houthis came and something happened, we also commented because we are looking at most of the things, especially those that affect the bottom-up transformation agenda. Many of the things like farming, fertilizer, grains, were facing a challenge. Because if you go around up to South Africa, then you find that insurance goes up, the cost, logistics. Ojwang, I think you are getting where these aspects are moving. So we had to come in because the impact. Now this impact is even, you are right, when you began by saying, as a Kenyan, you feel like the world is collapsing. Now I agree with you. I know why you are saying that. Because Red Sea, Minde, when you're arguing, it is just a snippet compared to now what is going to, because it's like double. Because now the other lower side, if it is closed, then the Red Sea also becomes useless. So this Eastern Africa region, we must be also concerned, and we continuously ask for de-escalation. We continuously ask for consideration, especially for even OPEC. I think I've seen that, that even as they congregate and think about capitalizing on this situation, they should think about their consistent customers in Africa and East Africa. So that's where we come in, and that's where you are mentioning the idea of spillover. The spillover is actually there. It's a fact. It's not something that we can avoid, and you can only do that by beginning by chipping from the sides. Not being indifferent to what is going to affect you.
Thank you. Minda, you're not concerned about bottom up.
No, of course. I think on the statement that Kenya made, I think it was very strategic, and
Also looking at Tanzania also.
Of course, look, I support how the framing, because this thing is also, you need to have right minds on people who understand how to deal with big powers and of course understanding the current geopolitical situation. And I think the framing of the statement that Kenya gave, I think, was quite strategic. I was reading some analysis. They were saying, for example, there's a terminology they use. There is strategic ambiguity. So you don't know really where the person really stands, and it's a foreign policy aspect that has been used by countries who are in the middle. So India has oftentimes used that particular phrase in strategic ambiguity. You understand what they call, there's a terminology around something to do with autonomy, strategic autonomy as well. So it's as if you work with both sides. But even you could see Iran was not even mentioned in the statement. It was, I think it was also very, very strategic. I think also this is, can be borrowed, maybe even the African Union has also issued almost a similar type of vague, even that vagueness in itself is a strategy. That's what my professor of foreign policy taught me, that even saying nothing is also foreign policy. So I really I think Kenya has done well in terms of issuing that. And of course, it also understands the complexity of geopolitics. What about Tanzania? Tanzania has also issued a small statement about the situation, but not taking all these
small.
It is also, for me, I think it's foreign policy. Look, we understand how the globe operates right now. We know it is Donald Trump. Tomorrow he might wake up and give you a 20%, 50% tariff. So we understand those nuances, and I think it is very strategic for Kenya to issue that statement as it is. For me, I look at it like that.
So what does this war generally then mean for Africa?
Well,
what should we expect as Africa?
Well, I think we
just wait.
In university we teach something we call African international relations. So, but look, we are just pawns. This is where you invoke agency. For example, the French president can give a statement and Trump listens. And then he says, we are not going to use our base, for example, the British Prime Minister. So you see there is agency in itself in the international arena. But I'm just imagining, I don't know, maybe we just go back to the realist, the weak must suffer what they must.
Ojwang, what does it portend for us? And then is our brother Wilfred trying to get us some nooks?
Kenya's record on peacekeeping is very big. Kenya really have helped the world resolve.
Move closer to your mic, please.
Kenya have really helped the world resolve many conflicts, and their record on that is clear. And being a country that have worked alongside multilateralism to bring order, you can understand their statement, as Muliro was saying. Please do not escalate, because this can lead to more proxy wars. Let us contain it where it is, and let us observe the rules. The rules include, respecting neutral countries. Yeah, that is one of the IHL rules, that you don't attack countries that are not in the conflict. You don't bring them in, because that might escalate the issues. So I think the statement is not just strategic, but a cry to order. That, you know what, we have done this severally here in Haiti and everywhere. We will want to see a world where there is de-escalation. And now that we have the strike, the IHL talks of military targets, military objects and objective. Please let us minimize human suffering. And I could see how all those strikes escalate human suffering, because the goal of even armed conflict is to subdue the enemy, but to minimize as much as possible. There's still rules that guide armed conflict. Let us minimize the human suffering, because in the process there is a lot of collateral damages. When you go for those targets, you find there's some places that have been hit that maybe you didn't target, and in the process you have killed other civilians. And one of the Geneva rules are clear that we must distinguish between civilian and non-civilian, civilian object, non-civilian objects, and we must not increase human suffering because we are in war, as Muliro have said. So don't do damages that make people suffer more. The goal of armed conflict is to finish it quickly before we get to much more suffering. The Scotch Earth policy is no longer attainable under the new international humanitarian law. So I think Kenya, with that track record, looking at this thing can get out of hand. There is a situation where a bad situation can be worse. They are saying, no, let us de-escalate, let us contain it. And it's consistent with the Kenyan policy of pragmatism, of always strategically staying neutral, and also multi-aligned. You know, Kenya is has a lot of friends, and will want to live in peace with as many countries as possible. And because of that, they don't want to be simply finding themselves in doing something that escalates the situation. So I think it was a very good statement, and I saw its clarification. They are simply saying, let us bring this to order. Let us still remember that we'll rather catch heart attack negotiating in a conference room than in the field where there is collateral damages and more suffering of the people.
Okay. All right. Wilson, reason for inaction from China and Russia. No obligation to fight. There is either economic or diplomatic. Oil weapons, sanctions, evasions, anti-West alignment. No defense pacts. Iran is useful as a bargaining chip against the US, not worth risking direct war. Russia's limits. Bogged down in Ukraine, lacks spare capacity or will to escalate with the US or Israel, as seen in the past crises like Syria or the 2025 Iran-Israel clashes. Support stays rhetorical. China's calculus buys 80% of Iran's oil, huge but not existential, edges with Russia, Saudi supplies. Prioritizes long-term stability, energy security, and influence with any future Iranian government over short-term military risks. Avoids anything that disrupts trade or provokes U.S. retaliation. Okay. Giovanni Capello, you guys don't get it. No, the Jews. It's not the Jews. There is radical Zionists who doesn't believe in Bible. They have their own Bill's version and call them Talmud. I think because of time we might not be able to analyze that. But Kimutai, CEO, okay, live and clear from undisclosed location. All right. Thank you. So we are top of the hour, 2 hours exactly, 2 hours and 2 minutes. So I'll take your last comments. I'll start with you, Wilfred.
Thank you very much, Bitok. This is my maiden time on your show.
Karibu,
and I've really enjoyed how it is fluid. There is no straight jacket, and I also thank you for linking me up with my good old friends days at USIU and now. I'm very grateful. And I just want to, yes, and for him, in fact, from Tuk, yes. So I just want to mention that actually within the crisis, Kenya has emphasized 3 things, you know, the head of state, looking at the escalation, and the Prime Cabinet Secretary insisting on how to protect our people abroad. And the Principal Secretary is a triumvirate, working together, raising issues of international law. And therefore, in that manner, Kenya keeps its multi-alliance, as he said. We have many friends, and we do not want to associate with one at the expense of the other. We don't make choices to harm the other. We live with all of them. And that is the direction of Kenya's foreign policy. And my view is that the strategy that maybe Iran has used of bringing in more might create the global pressure that will make sure that maybe the crisis ends earlier than we thought. So that is our desire, that the world feels it will have global ripple effects, and therefore all of us collectively come together to work for the immediate and quick resolution as suggested by His Excellency the President. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Dr. Minde, when we share the poster, uko na salama?
Yes.
Receives greetings from your students at USIU.
Yeah.
A lot of them was coming to my inbox and they're like, hey, Dr. Minde was my lecturer, but very strict. Very strict. So, sijui kama ni ile salamu ya Gen Z ya 2024 ama ni salamu ya mapenzi. But I said, you are a good guy and you're a very good lecturer, but you are very strict. And I understand why you need to be. Maybe you also need to tell them that you have some knocks.
Of course.
Let me take your last comment.
Of course, my last comments, war is of course very devastating. Sometimes we can speak of all this hard language and alliances and hard power, the dismantling and of, the use of this equipment, the toys. But I think there's also the toll that it has on people. I have some friends in Iran, for example, who have been living in this suspense and war for a long time. But also it has implications in, we have to spare some thought even to the Palestinians. It has actually been normalized right now that, we see bombs every day in Gaza and people being killed, children being killed, women being killed. We saw girls being killed in Iran. And it's as if it's just another day in the world. Yeah. So for me, I think there's also my part in short will be humanity also has to reign. To be honest, that it's human lives. Even these American soldiers, and even them, they deserve. Of course, war has casualties, but this is we're talking about human life. So I really hope sanity reigns. Back to negotiation table. I know there are still hard stances at the moment, but for me, my part in short will be actually on the issue of let humanity reign.
Okay. Dr. Ojwang.
Right. I was reading the book of Mika that says, a nation shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. And that is the idea of when the end of war. One of the questions we deal with every time is, why regulate war? Why not just ban war? Okay. And we do have the concept of a just war, that there is a time that war can be just. But there is real human suffering, that people are dying, properties are being destroyed, life is becoming harder. And you can tell that it will be even hard for countries that probably were neutral like Kenya or Africa. So it's time for the world to stand up and remind itself of, look at the institutions we have built, whether it's the UN, when we say never again, from the League of Nations to the United Nations. Let us strengthen the good offices. It has come at a time that I think the UN Secretary General term is coming to an end. I wish the next UN Secretary General would be an African, and that Africa should play a bigger role, because Africa have shown us that they are more peaceful, as we have seen Kenya doing, it's time to talk about the reform that the president of Kenya have been pushing, that the UN should be reformed so that we have equality of voices, so that we can take care of each other. Because if we take care of each other, we will be better than if we are fighting among ourselves. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming in. It's been an amazing pleasure having you here. And for a very long time, I've not felt minutes fly, and that was fly. I can't even believe that we've already done 2 hours. It's been an amazing conversation, very resourceful, and I hope that we can continue having these conversations so that Kenyans are able to get knowledge. You know, there's a difference between information and knowledge. You can get information anywhere. Every charlatan can give you information. In fact, even on this war, you'll find everyone is an expert, like I said. It's very critical when you have people who can actually speak information and speak knowledge so that people are able to make very measured judgments. And so that we also don't fall into other knocks. Until next week on Wednesday, it's been a pleasure having you. This has been The Tackle, and we can continue this conversation on YouTube. Please go to YouTube and also remain on Facebook. Watch the broadcast, share it, give us your comments. When you get back next week, we shall read. And even during the week, we shall continue to respond to your questions and your comments. Until next week, this has been The Tackle, and it ends now. Bye-bye, and we love you.